Okay, so we literally just pulled into the shop from Trail Hero X. We had an amazing time, did some really, really cool trails, woke up in some of the most scenic places I've ever woken up at. All in all, it was 5 days, over 500 miles. We pushed this truck and these products extremely hard. Like, I guarantee you we pushed it harder than 99% of the people on the planet. And we did that. First of all, it was an absolute blast, which was the main reason we did it. But second of all, I want to know when we send this stuff out that it's top-notch, high quality. You guys are not going to have an issue with it. So what we're going to do now, we're going to pull some things out that we used on the trip. We're going to talk about what worked, what we're going to change, and then some of the new products that we might be looking at. First and foremost, let's talk about the issues with the truck. We knew ground clearance was a problem. It always has been with a small tire. With that small tire comes a lot of fun, a lot of speed, a lot of low center of gravity. So we're very careful not to just immediately go tall on this truck. And we're going to solve those issues pretty soon. We've got some ideas that may become products, and we'll work on that soon. But the obvious issues, we of course destroyed the side steps yet again. There were just a lot of situations on the trail that exceeded the ability to stack rocks or use max tracks or anything like that. Big drop-offs and things that we really just couldn't control. So we will definitely work on a solution for this, although it won't be just a rock slider. I know there's some really nice rock sliders already on the market, but what we want to make sure we do is protect the truck from debris that flies off the tires and bounces off of the road surface. If you guys push these trucks hard off-road, you'll hear sticks and rocks and basically boulders bounce off the bottom of these steps all the time. And so when that happens, that would have been something that was going to bounce off the side of your truck. So we don't want that. So we'll have to come with a solution that works for both of those. That'd be pretty high on the list. Other than the side steps, we definitely had some issues down below. Next Venture has a skid plate in the works for the bottom of this thing, and we're hopefully really high on that list. We've been on them for a long time to get one of those. So I'm excited about that, so we can finally have that part under control. Other than that, this truck performed literally flawless, and we pushed it to the limit a lot of times. Sometimes maybe over the limit, but we had a lot of fun. The products did amazing. So let's take a look at what we've got. All right, so one thing you'll probably notice back here, there's a ton of dust in this bed. And a lot of the terrain that we were on is like straight up silt. So this is not normal dust conditions. But what we realized is that although we did seal the bed really well with the tonneau cover, the rest of this bed is far from being sealed. So much to the fact that we even tried our ghetto weather stripping technique with duct tape out in the field and microfiber gaskets and every attempt that we could think to try to understand the airflow inside of this bed. So my first thought was we would stop up the exit and that would prevent the entry. That didn't work in the least bit, as you can see. So one thing we will be working on is trying to figure out a good way to seal this tailgate. So once you do put a nice tonneau cover or something on top, you don't have these dust issues like we've had now. So we're taking one for the team on this one. So another thing I'd like to talk about in the back, as you can see, and as we've talked about, a lot of this was sort of a rush job, and some of that includes the wiring. So right now we're using a small portable battery pack that's charged from a direct connection from the battery. So we get a pretty good charge rate on it as far as, the basic battery pack type stuff. One thing we will be working on is a power system for these trucks. There's a lot of room in the bed. We've got a lot of room inside the quarter panels. So we have pretty good access to that. So we'll be working on ways to get you guys some auxiliary power in the 100 amp hour range. It'll be sufficient for overnight, maybe a couple of days of camping to run a fridge and area lights and that type of thing. Got some really good ideas with that, so stay tuned for that. And if you have any feedback or suggestions on that, please let us know down in the comments. The water system worked flawlessly. We actually didn't even use much. I'd say we probably used half of one can in 5 days. Now we weren't taking showers out of it and stuff like that, obviously, so you'd have to consider that if you're packing water. Tie down options for the pack out stuff worked great. We did it both ways. This one is just strapped in using the Versatie hooks on the bottom. No problems with that. We did hard mount the fridge. I don't like the refrigerator moving at all. These things get pretty heavy when they're full of water bottles and that type of thing. So this is hard mounted to the slide. This was flawless as well. The slides are attached to a new thing that we're trying. So this is the first iteration of our rail system for the bed of the Ranger. And honestly, We do have some changes to make it easier to install, but as far as functionality wise, like there's no way you guys are going to beat on these trucks harder than we did on this trip. I can 100% guarantee you that. Like I've been on several Baja trips where we weren't as hard on the vehicles as we were this weekend. So I'm very confident in the durability and the strength of this rail design. So now we'll get this out. We'll check for any fatigue that we can't see with the slides on, and then we'll refine that just to make sure it packs well and installs easier. But that bed rail system will be a huge addition for this truck platform. So we're excited about the potential there. On the other side slide, we tried to keep this system pretty basic, mostly because we just didn't have time to do anything else. But to that point, we did hard mount the action packer, which I really like because it gives you easy access to get the lid off. So this one, we intentionally left strapped down. It has tools and things in it. So if we want to take this out, like say we're winching, this is the winch rope protector guy. If we want to take this out to go to another vehicle, everything is sort of contained inside this action packer box. So I really liked that coming out easily and not being bolted down. So our slides are all made out of 3mm 5052 aluminum. So that gives you a pretty firm base if you do want to hard mount these things. So this one, literally, we just drilled holes in the bottom of the box and used big washers so we didn't smash the plastic. And that worked out great. But we did use the inflator mount quite a bit. So it was nice to have this guy out on the trail. Super lightweight compressor setup, very portable. Can take it to another person's vehicle pretty easily. That worked out great. One thing we did talk about doing, and it would probably be a Ranger specific product at this point, is we talked about building an auxiliary air tank. So maybe 3.5 gallons or so, depending on our packaging options. And the cool thing we thought about is we could take the hose out of the air compressor, out of the inflator, and maybe put a Schrader valve over on the side so that you could literally fill your air tank with this guy. And that would be great for obviously blowing dust off. But yeah, just some ideas that we were thinking about. Another product that got built specifically for this event are these light brackets in the front here. So normal like windshield style light brackets, there are a few other ones on the market. What we tried to do is a little flare to make sure that we covered every need that you guys might want. So if you'll notice, this top panel is removable. So what that means is if you want to run a comms antenna or larger lights, smaller lights, we'll have various top options for these brackets. And I know to address some of the concerns, we may provide a security bolt option for these as well. So if you guys are concerned about people taking off the whole bracket, we can fix that. That won't be a problem. These are all 5052 aluminum, so they're 3/16 thick. So they're extremely stout for what we can do with the design. If you have one of these trucks, you know you're really limited on the space coming out of the hood. So we don't have a lot of room to build a big bulky bracket. But this thickness and this material has worked out really, really well on this event. I'm very happy with those. Those will actually be coming out pretty soon. We're pretty much done with those. That'll be good. All right, another thing that we used on this trip that we've actually had in the shop for a while and just hadn't packed it up yet was this tool roll from Atlas46.com. These guys are not sponsors in any way. They just make an amazing American-made product, and just kind of wanted to show it off to you guys. So we packed everything in there tools-wise that we used to have in 3 different bags. So the organization was really nice, and just having everything in one bag was clutch for sure. All right, one other little fun thing that we did on this trip is we left this Milwaukee Cup here the entire trip. It has over 500 miles of use and abuse, and we got stopped. I think the count was up to 7 for the people that tried to stop us and tell us that we left our coffee cup in the back. So we weren't intentionally trying to trick people, but it just worked out that way. It was a lot of fun. We got a kick out of it at the show. So this is the first time it's been off in 500 miles. So probably needs a bath before you put coffee in that guy. One other piece of gear that was critical for us on this trip was the Starlink mini mount. With James and I being out of the shop, it's obviously a burden on some operations that we have inside the business. So we use this literally every day to stay in touch with everyone back at the shop and make sure things are flowing well. you guys may have seen some versions of this in the past. This will be the production version that we sell for attaching a Starlink mini dish to a pack out box. But basically it's pretty simple. It uses these clasps that we use on a lot of our other products. Those work out really well. They have holes in it to run padlocks through if that's a concern for you. Once you open the latches, you can literally just pull that down and the whole dish comes out. So really simple, super lightweight, 50-52 aluminum. Very happy with how that worked out. So I don't know if you would say fortunately or unfortunately, we did not get a chance to test out the winching setup. We just didn't need it. But this is it. So obviously it's a pretty tight package. Very happy with how this was going to work. We wired very large Anderson plugs on both ends of the vehicle with the expectation if we needed it, we would plug it into those plugs. In the front, we've got it set up to run a soft shackle through this hole. And we basically connect it to one of the tow rings in the front of the vehicle. So this would sit in the middle and act kind of like a come along in the middle of that system. So yeah, I was pretty excited about using it. I think it's going to be great for this, you know, sort of small recovery needs. You're not going to pull out a 1-ton truck with it, but I think you would get this truck out of most hairy situations, especially with snatch block or that type of thing. So anyway, we'll try that again in the future. All right, so you'll have to pardon the dust in here. We literally just rolled back into the shop. We built a radio mount to go inside this compartment that lives inside the Rangers here. This bracket is steel. We attach the display with magnets, and that way you can take it out if you need to, or get access behind there if you need to, but that worked out really well. The other thing we tried to do is make this a really clean installation. So we did a remote extension for the mic, so that way we can disconnect it when we don't need it. Really easy to get access to, and we just put that into the dash. That worked out really well, and then that we just stored in the cup holder. So the radio is mounted under the dash using a bracket that we'll also have available pretty soon. One thing that I would like to be better is we do need a remote speaker with it down in that location. If you guys want to jam out to music and listen to radio, we'll have to get some speaker access somewhere up here. So I think we have some really good options under this grate here to put a nice comm speaker. So we'll be exploring those alternatives very soon. Next up on the list of cool things to show you that we used out on the trip. So this bracket here we're calling the overhead has been extremely strong. There's a steel bracket that goes under here and sort of like nests its way up to the sheet metal. So this is actually extremely firm mounted to the truck. Very happy with that. That actually is available on the website now. What we used it for on this trip was navigation tablet. So we're able to put the route up here, and that way I could glance at it and it not take up any of my space out the front of the windshield. So that was great. It was super clutch out on the trip. It's held on with these mob armor magnets. There are a million ways to skin this cat. Like if I was going to do it permanently, I would probably do just an iPad mini mount off of the ram ball. This was okay, but it wouldn't be as stout as an official mount for that. But the location is great. We're very happy with our side of this product, and it's available on the website now. All right, so this will be our next upgrade on the truck. And we tried and tried and tried to get these in before the event. And we kind of joked that I bet as soon as we pull up to the shop they'll be sitting on the floor. 6 brand new Nitto Grappler G3s sitting right here on the floor when we came in. So I'm really excited about putting these on. We've spent so much time pushing this truck with the stock tires on it. It's going to be really easy to notice a difference with a little bit larger diameter, a little bit more grip, and a tire that we know is going to perform extremely great on this truck. So these are just a little bit over 34 inch. These are 315/70 R17 tires. So they measure just over 34 inches tall, a little less than 35, which seems to be the limit on this truck without getting crazy. And it's probably a good thing we didn't have them on before, because it is going to take some work to get these on without causing any clearance issues. But we'll make sure and document that process so you guys can do it at home.